This is land of Havilah, 1 Samuel 3. In the last chapter, Eli's sons Hophni and Phinehas were mishandling the sacrifices and sleeping with the women who served at the door of the tent of meeting. God told their father Eli that he would kill both his sons in one day and that there would never be an old man among his descendants forever. Now Yahweh will speak to Samuel about the situation. Verse 1. The child Samuel ministered to Yahweh before Eli. Yahweh's word was rare in those days. There were not many visions then. At that time when Eli was laid down in his place, now his eyes had begun to grow dim so that he could not see, and God's lamp hadn't yet gone out, and Samuel had lain down in Yahweh's temple where God's ark was. Yahweh called Samuel, and he said, "Here I am." He ran to Eli and said, "Here I am, for you called me." He said, "I didn't call, lie down again." He went and lay down. Yahweh called yet again, "Samuel." Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, "Here I am, for you called me." He answered, "I didn't call, my son, lie down again." Now Samuel didn't yet know Yahweh, neither was Yahweh's word yet revealed to him. Yahweh called Samuel again the third time. He arose and went to Eli and said, "Here I am, for you called me." Eli perceived that Yahweh had called the child. Therefore Eli said to Samuel, "Go lie down. It shall be, if he calls you, that you shall say, 'Speak, Yahweh, for your servant hears.'" So Samuel went and lay down in his place. Yahweh came and stood and called as at other times, "Samuel, Samuel." Then Samuel said, "Speak, for your servant hears." Comment. In verse 1, word from the Lord was rare in those days. This is what Yahweh told Moses. When they forsake me, quote, "I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them." Deuteronomy 31:16 and 17. But now, as it said in verse 26 of the last chapter, Yahweh has placed his favor on Samuel, and his word will no longer be so rare. In verses 2 and 3, Samuel had lain down in the temple where the lamp and ark were. However, according to the law of Moses, no one other than the priest should touch the holy articles in the tabernacle lest they die, Numbers 4:15. But here we have a child, as verse 1 calls him, who's not descended from Aaron and therefore not eligible to be a priest, and he's loose in the sanctuary. Either Eli is ignoring the word of Yahweh by allowing Samuel to do so, or since the boy now belongs to Eli, he's a descendant of Aaron by adoption. This has to do with you and me. We have been set loose to dwell in the temple of God because we have been adopted as sons. Romans 8:15, quote, "You received the spirit of adoption by whom we cry, Abba, Father," end quote. And speaking of us, Jesus says, quote, "They will hear my voice," John 10:16. But in verse 2, in contrast to Samuel, who's hearing from God for the first time, Eli's eyes have begun to grow dim so that he could not see. Yahweh already told Eli what he'll do to his two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, and he told Eli why. But Eli was strangely passive about it. He didn't stop his sons from ministering, as we'll see coming up, and as far as we know, he didn't plead with the Lord to have mercy on them. If we live in sin, we dull the counsel of the Lord, and therefore Yahweh's word was rare. So let's all live in repentance and say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant hears." Then he will say, quote, "Blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear." Matthew 13:16. Now that Samuel knows that this is the voice of the Lord, what's the message? Verse 11. Yahweh said to Samuel, "Behold, I will do a thing in Israel at which both the ears of everyone who hears it will tingle." Comment. Yahweh's going to do something that'll get everyone's attention in Israel instantly. Verse 12. "In that day I will perform against Eli all that I have spoken concerning his house from the beginning even to the end. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knew, because his sons brought a curse on themselves, and he didn't restrain them." Comment. In the last chapter, Eli complained to his sons about their behavior, but he didn't restrain them, meaning he didn't actually step in and do anything about it. As their father and as the high priest, he's neglecting his obligation. Hophni and Phinehas are two grown men, but that doesn't relieve Eli of his responsibility. Yahweh goes on, verse 14. "Therefore I have sworn to the house of Eli that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be removed with sacrifice or offering forever." Comment. There's iniquity on Eli's house. It's a curse that will pass from generation to generation. This is consistent with Yahweh's declaration in Exodus 20, verse 5, that he would visit, quote, the iniquity of the fathers on the children, on the third and on the fourth generation of those who hate me, end quote. So this opens up the possibility that you or I might be under a curse because of something our ancestors did. This might be, but Christ has said, quote, "Most certainly I tell you, all sins of the descendants of man will be forgiven," end quote. So Christ has the power to break generational curses. Psalm 51:7, quote, "Purify me with hyssop, and I will be clean. Wash me, and I will be whiter than snow," end quote. Coming up, what did Samuel do after he heard from the Lord that he would judge Eli's house? Verse 15. Samuel lay until the morning and opened the doors of Yahweh's house. Samuel feared to show Eli the vision. Then Eli called Samuel and said, "Samuel, my son." He said, "Here I am." He said, "What is the thing that he has spoken to you? Please don't hide it from me. God do so to you and more also if you hide anything from me of all the things that he spoke to you." Comment, Eli says, "May the Lord punish you if you don't tell me everything he said." Verse 18. Samuel told him every bit and hid nothing from him. He said, "It is Yahweh. Let him do what seems good to him." Comment, that was another passive response from Eli, quote, "Let him do what seems good to him," end quote. When Moses was in the same situation, when Yahweh said, "I'm going to consume the Israelites," Moses prayed and Yahweh relented, Exodus 32:10-14. Verse 19. Samuel grew and Yahweh was with him and let none of his words fall to the ground. All Israel, from Dan even to Beersheba, knew that Samuel was established to be a prophet of Yahweh. Yahweh appeared again in Shiloh, for Yahweh revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by Yahweh's word. Comment, whatever Samuel said would happen, did happen, and everyone knew it. Instead of Yahweh hiding himself, he's made himself known in Shiloh again through Samuel. Just as Yahweh was responsible for establishing Moses in the sight of the people, Exodus 11:3, and Joshua 3:7, now Yahweh has established Samuel before the people. It's still the period of the judges, and the most famous of judges has arisen. 1 Samuel 4 is next at landofhavilah.net, 1 Samuel 4. This is the map of 1 Samuel 3. The events of this chapter occurred in Shiloh. Samuel is known from Dan in the far north to Beersheba in the far south. 1 Samuel 4 is next.